everyone, welcome to episode 30 of Otome Shimai.
I'm Vicky.
And I'm Vika.
And we are sisters who play Otome games.
Welcome to episode 30. Today we are doing our long-awaited episode on BU TAFELLOWS.
Yes, today is BU TAFELLOWS. It's Reviews in Twos, Part 1.
That's right.
So this episode is spoiler-free. If you have never played BU TAFELLOWS before, please feel free to listen to this episode because this is the one that will not spoil you at all. The one that you would need to skip is the next episode. And Tata would also like to say hello to all the nice people.
If you hear a cat meowing in the background, that is our Tata-chan. Anyways, before we get into our first episode of Reviews and Twos for BU TAFELLOWS, we are going to talk about who are you doing this week?
So I was lucky enough to get into the beta of a new mobile game that's coming out, hopefully soon. I don't know, it's in the beta, but it's called Somnium 11, and it's by Nochi Studios, which is a little team that's based out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. It's 3 women who create Otome games, and their whole thing is they dream up games that they would want to play.
They do this full time.
They do this full time. Yeah, and Somnium 11 is so cool, you guys. Like, the story is super interesting. The person that you play, the MC, you are in like a contest to become the next leader of the area that you're in. I'm gonna be really, really vague about the details because it's in the beta, but it's this really cool combination. It's kind of a fantasy world. It's a popularity contest, but it's also stats raising.
Is it like fantasy, more fantasy, or more sci-fi?
It's more sci-fi than fantasy.
Okay, so that gives us a good idea.
Yeah, it's really cool because there's also a social media aspect to it. Like, you have social media in the game and you have to get like a certain amount of followers. But the LIs, there are both male and female LIs.
Nice.
Yeah, and everyone is really hot.
Yes.
I was actually really surprised because it got steamy a lot faster than I expected it to.
Okay, no more spoilers.
No more spoilers. But it's really great. It's super interesting, and it's a really cool combination of like map stats raising as well as visual novel, and the story is really, really unique and fun. So, I mean, if you're in the beta, if you're playing, then you know what I'm talking about. But if you have never heard of Somnium 11 before or Nochi Studios before, please, please, please go and check them out. They're super cool. I will put all of the links in the description.
Yes, I am super jealous that you got into the beta and I didn't. So I will wait for the full release, and I am very excited to play.
Yeah, it's super great. It's super great. Who are you doing this week?
So I Bone Mozart.
Did you know?
Yes, I did.
How was it?
Great.
You like it?
I really I loved Mozart route. So I was spamming Ikemen Vampire for ages, really, trying to get through his route because we were so busy. And finally, I just went all the way through to the very end. I really, really liked his route. I love his personality. I love his relationship with the MC. Even though the MC annoys the heck out of me, he's a great character.
You just like the grumpy ones.
I do. I really do. I'm sorry. I loved, breaking down his ice heart with my love hammer.
You do that a lot.
I do. It's one of my favorite things. So anyways, Mozart was the one that I did. Next week I will start a new route.
Who are you going to start?
I am going to start Vincent van Gogh.
Wait a second.
What?
You're doing Vincent van Gogh? You know who I have to start soon?
Who?
Theodorus van Gogh.
Sisters dating brothers.
That's kind of weird.
Not their brothers.
I don't know. I'm just jealous that you're going to do Vincent next because, I'm not so sure about Theo. So when I know that Vincent's a cinnamon roll? Yes.
Cinnamon
roll. I know that Vincent's a cinnamon roll.
He is a cinnamon roll.
From the other routes
but
that
I'm
I've
sure
done.
Theo can be sweet too. I don't really know much about him. All I know is he's kind of a hard ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, on to today's topic. So Vicky and I played BU TAFELLOWS at different points in time. When did you play?
I played summer 2021.
Okay, so a heck-ass long time ago.
Yeah, and as usual, I played the game in Japanese. My goal was to finish it before it was released, and I don't remember if I actually did. I think I may have almost finished it before it was released in English. But I remember it was coming out, and the thing is, I need to stop doing this because the way I have been playing Otome games lately is I look at what is going to be localized and I'm like, okay, I need to finish this game before it comes out in English. And then sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. So we'll see if I'll be able to keep that up. Because right now I'm playing a game that's not going to be localized at all. So.
Yeah. Well, it's a balance. I, of course, played it in English. When the localization came out, I swooped it up right away because I knew that I was going to want to play it. Vicky and I had discussed, and she was like, you should play this game. And I was like, really? I don't want to play this game. And she convinced me, and I did. And it was wonderful.
Yeah,
it's just, it's good.
I remember us talking about it, and originally you were like, I'm not so sure this is for me. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the art style. The story doesn't look super interesting. And then you ended up liking it more than I did.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. It gave me all the feels.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's talk about the general summary of BU TAFELLOWS.
Yes.
So BU TAFELLOWS follows Teuta, a young freelance journalist from the city and state of Newsig. Basically, this is fake New York. It's designed after New York. So she takes an interest in justice and searching for the truth after the disappearance of her brother, Zora. This is super important, but we can't tell you anything else in this episode about Zora. Yep. She's passionate about getting the scoop and also has this strange ability where she can go back in time. Yes, you heard correctly, there is time travel in this game. I did not expect this when I started playing. I was like, why is this supernatural weird thing happening? I thought this was a game about crime.
Yeah, they say in, the game description that she has this ability, but honestly, she only does it at very specific points in the game. It's not like she, travels back years in time. Teuta can travel back, maybe an hour back in time. And
even less than that, really.
Yeah. So
I don't know. It was unexpected. It was enjoyable, but unexpected. Anyways, circumstances destroy her apartment building, and she ends up living with her 5 allies. A crooked lawyer, a bounty hunter, a cosmetic surgeon, the autopsy chief, and the self-proclaimed boss of the underworld. Lots of things happen. Most of them are spoilers, so let's talk about the characters.
Yeah, honestly, in this episode, we're not going to be talking very much about the plot at all, because it's literally all spoilers.
That's right.
But before we actually talk about the characters, let's set the scene a little bit more.
Okay.
So the world is, basically America, but also literally America.
Yes. So interestingly enough, California exists, which is where we are.
Los Angeles exists.
Which is where we are not.
No, we are not.
But it does exist in this game.
Yeah, we are NorCal, sorry, Los Angeles. We don't go there very often.
Yes. So basically America, and the game takes place in a place called Newsig.
Yeah, Newsig, basically New York. It's got a lot of interesting neighborhoods. Tata is just being so vocal.
Tata has many opinions about BU TAFELLOWS.
Obviously. Yeah, she was sitting in my lap when we started recording, and then she wanted to leave. So I don't know why she's complaining so much. If she wants to be part of the podcast, she should come and be part of the podcast. Anyways, instead of the Bronx and Manhattan, we have places called Black Hawk and Wyatt Earp. Interestingly enough, there is also a Black Hawk in NorCal, but it's very different from the Black Hawk in the game.
Very.
There's also Buffalo Bill, Butterfield, and Belle Star, which sound oddly like stripper names, but only ones you find in Texas. I don't know. I've never been to a Texas strip club. Have you?
No, but Belle Star really sounds like a Texas stripper name. Just saying.
Anyways, if you want to know more about Newsig, they actually have a really detailed map of it and all of the places in it. I have the art book for it, and the map is there. You can also find the map online. I would highly recommend checking it out if you are actually currently playing the game, because it gives you a good idea of where things are taking place.
Yeah, that I found super helpful, because throughout the game you end up with background CGs of places that don't seem like they connect, but once you look at the map, you're like, oh, this is where they went, or this is how they traveled. So super helpful, super awesome to look at.
Yeah. And also in this game, there's a lot of driving from point A to point B in cars.
Yeah, I love the car scenes. It's the same car, but there's always someone different driving it. And somehow they all fit them into the same car.
Actually, I don't think Scarecrow drives.
Oh, does he not drive?
Or I think he owns cars, but I don't really remember him driving very much. It's everyone else chauffeurs him around.
That's he drives, true.
But it's usually Teuta, Limbo, or Shu driving.
Yeah, well, because Mozu has his bike. He doesn't usually drive either.
Okay, we'll talk about the characters in a second, so you'll know who we're talking about. First, the MC.
Teuta Bridges.
So Teuta is bright-eyed, positive, energetic, and opinionated.
Shocker. She's a journalist.
Yeah.
Of course she's opinionated.
She's also fully voiced in the game.
Yeah. I really, I have opinions on fully voiced MCs. I personally really like them. Because it gives me a sense of, I'm in this and I'm, experiencing it as a story as opposed to a self-insert. But, yeah, I was a little bit shocked at how intense Teuta's voice was.
Yeah. I'll talk a little bit about how I felt about that in a second, but a little bit more about Teuta first. She has friends who are not the love interests.
Yes. This is great.
Teuta is an MC that has a life. She has friends.
She has parents.
She has both of her parents are alive. They live in LA. And yeah, so she has this whole life outside of the LIs. Even once the game gets started, her life does not automatically become all about the LIs.
Yeah, I really liked this.
Yeah, she does end up living with them, but she still goes and socializes with her friends. She still goes out and does her job and lives her life like normal. And that was really unique.
Yeah, she talks to her mom. It's really interesting. This is an unorthodox MC.
Yeah.
Like we said earlier, she can travel back in time. And she fully takes advantage of this ability whenever something terrible happens.
Yes. The only thing is that when she does travel back in time, she ends up jumping into someone else's body.
Yes, because time and problems. You can't be in your own body.
Yeah. And she can't be in someone else's body forever because when she's out of her own body for a while, she starts to feel really sick. So she can only do this a couple minutes at a time.
Yeah.
But also, when she does it, the person whose body she's in loses the memory of what they did during the time that Teuta took over. And there are consequences for that.
There are. And she does kind of have that internal battle. She talks to her friends about it. What did I do to this person? I wonder. And she finds out in some cases, she'll go back and be like, oh, what happened to this person after I took over? Did they do this, do this, do this? And sometimes bad things happen, sometimes nothing happens, and it's fine.
Yeah.
The thing that really amazes me that she can actually get things done when she's not in her body. Something bad happens, she goes back in time, and then she resolves the issue by calling one of them and being like, hey, this is Teuta from the future. And they're like, you don't sound like Teuta. So they have to do this whole song and dance. And somehow she just manages to memorize everybody's numbers.
That's true. She jumps into somebody's body, jumps back in time, and she's known these guys for a couple of weeks. And she has their phone numbers memorized.
She calls each and every one of them. And I don't know how she memorizes their numbers. I really have no idea. That's the thing that shocks me the most. Not that she travels in time, but she memorizes everybody's phone number.
I mean, I have a few numbers memorized, but most of them are memorized phone numbers that I have memorized from when I was a kid, and then the number that you've had since college I have memorized too, but that's because you've had it since college.
Yeah, I don't even remember my own number sometimes. Anyways, Teuta is a cute girl. She literally knows nothing about romance and has a tendency for putting her nose in places where her nose doesn't necessarily need to be.
Yeah. And for me, that's the thing that bothered me about Teuta. She is young, and she very obviously was raised in a relatively privileged household.
Yes, she was.
So she can be fairly naive about other people's struggles. And she does stop and listen to what other people say and admit that she was wrong and try to change her way of thinking. But she ends up putting her foot in her mouth a lot because as an investigative journalist, she ends up talking to people from all walks of life. But she does have a very strong set of morals that she seems to feel like other people also need to follow. And that can lead to some butting of heads, and she has to work to change her point of view.
Yeah.
But she's young, and her way of thinking is young, and at least for me, as someone who is more than a decade older than her.
Yeah, she's only 21.
Yeah, that was a difficult thing to connect with. She puts herself into a lot of dangerous situations and runs heads first into things and starts telling people things that she shouldn't be telling them without really thinking about them.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see how that can be pretty frustrating because you're going through the story and you're like, oh no, Teuta, why would you do that? Please don't do that. It's a bad idea.
Yeah.
The thing though, and I think this is the reason why I ended up really liking Teuta at the end, even though she annoyed the heck out of me in the very beginning, was because she really does try to take other people's point of view and understand and really hears people out. She definitely bogarts the conversation and butts in, and like in the very beginning, like everything is all about her, but at the end she usually comes to a compromise and tries to be very understanding, and I like that.
Mm-hmm. So kind of going back for a second to the whole fact that Teuta is voiced. You mentioned that it was really interesting because that's not something that a lot of Otome games do. For me, I actually didn't end up being a huge fan of the fact that Teuta was voiced. And I think part of the reason why is because I didn't connect with her. And so whenever like she would like go on a little rant or start freaking out about something, it ended up just annoying me versus like me having empathy for her. I didn't connect with the character. So having the character be voiced and having her screeching in my ear when I wasn't already happy with her ended up taking me out of the story a little bit.
Yeah, you feel like you can empathize more when you're like reading through the lines like in your own way of perceiving it.
Yeah. Versus just hearing someone panicking and spitting out a whole bunch of information that they really shouldn't be spitting out to somebody who they shouldn't be talking to at all.
Yeah, I think everyone probably has very differing opinions on voiced MCs, and I really think it depends too, because there have been voice MCs where I'm very, very bothered by them. This one, I wasn't so much bothered by the end of the game, because I feel like I felt and understood her like growth a little bit, but in the beginning, yeah, totally, I get it.
Yeah, and I think what it boils down to is, because she was voiced and because I already couldn't connect with her, a lot of the scenes I felt like I was watching an anime where I just didn't like the main character wasn't my favorite.
Yeah.
Versus playing an Otome game. Especially in the last couple of routes, because after you unlock everyone, there are a couple of extra routes that you can do where there are no choices. It's literally just visual novel style, no choices.
It's storytelling only.
Yeah, and so it really does feel like you're watching an anime versus playing a game.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a really good point. I feel like it immerses you in the storytelling, and it doesn't actually put you in the shoes of the character. You're definitely a third party, like, viewer, I guess.
Yeah. I think it would be really interesting to hear from people who typically play as self-inserts. Because I feel like this would be a really difficult game to play for somebody who typically self-inserts.
Yeah.
But if you're the type of person who plays like us, where we don't do the self-insert and we play as if we're like reading a book, it's easier because you can separate yourself from that character.
Yeah. Lately now there are options in Otome games where you can turn the voices off. So if you wanted to play through this game without Teuta being voiced, you totally could. We just didn't. We usually play it as it's given to us and have our experience kind of like in that way. But if you choose to not have her be voiced, you can do that. Let's talk about the LIs.
The LIs. So the first one and the quote-unquote main dude, Limbo Scott Fitzgerald.
If that isn't a Ponzi name, I don't know what is.
Well, he is a Ponzi man. He is a big fancy lawyer.
Yes, he is.
He's also far too young to be a big fancy lawyer.
He's in his 20s.
He's like in his mid to late 20s, and just that's too young to be a big fancy lawyer.
When did you pass the bar, sir?
I know, right? He's really known for taking cases of like super rich dudes who probably are not innocent, but he is really good at getting them off.
Not in that way. Why did you say it like that?
Because that's what you say. That is the way that you phrase it.
Anyways,
Limbo doesn't really care about like the small things in life. He ends up getting brought in to a police station and like puts his feet on the table and eats a hot dog.
Yes, he very much does his own thing and walks his own way.
Yeah, but Limbo is kind of the catalyst for this entire story because the way that he and Teuta meet is they're walking by each other on the street and somebody murders him in front of Teuta.
That's right.
So
he dies at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, and she ends up traveling back in time to try to prevent him from dying, and that's why the entire plot happens.
That's right. The game starts with Limbo's death.
Yep.
Isn't that fun? Anyways, I think think Limbo's super hot.
He is.
He's a super hot character. So is his sister. FYI, if you listen to Sidetrack by Side Characters, our last episode, you will know exactly what I think about his sister Valerie. He seems like a crooked lawyer to the public eye, but I think he really does believe in truth and justice. Like, in his own way. He, like, has a very unorthodox way of accomplishing his goals. Like, he's totally okay with murder. Mm-hmm. He's totally okay with blackmail. He's totally okay with bribing. But, you know, he gets the job done.
Yeah. He also likes money a lot.
Yes, they all like money.
They all like money, that's true.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was a big fan of Limbo. I really liked him as a character.
Yeah, no, I liked Limbo, too. I think Limbo is my second favorite, actually.
Ooh. Shall we talk about your first favorite?
Yeah. Shu Lyn O'Keefe.
I love that his middle name is Lyn.
He is husband material.
He is a cutie.
He is wonderful. Shu is the assassin of assassins. Mm-hmm. He works with Limbo and the boys to kill the bad guys. He's a sniper. But he also, like, he uses these adorable hair clips when he's at home. He clips his bangs up, and it's just, it's just the best gap moe ever. Yeah, it's wonderful.
He's cute and very, very handsome.
Yeah. The big thing that I don't like is that for most of the game, he chain smokes.
Yeah, he's a big smoker.
Yeah, he's a heavy smoker.
I think that's one part of the plot where Teuta tries to convince him to stop smoking at, like, different parts in the game.
Yeah, it doesn't always work.
It doesn't always work. You know.
Yeah. Shu is also the quote-unquote older man of the game because he's 28 years old. Oh my goodness.
A 7-year difference. Wow.
Yeah. Teuta's 21, but I mean to us who are we're in our 30s, it's like, oh, it's a younger man.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was the one who is fairly unfazed by all of the insanity that happens around him. He also really loves to just kind of like coolly poke fun at all of his friends and the MC.
Definitely the MC.
Yeah, he's a tease.
A lot.
Shu was definitely the dark horse ally. When the game first came out, you know, it was kind of all about the other guys. And like when I first saw it, I was like, okay, like this guy, I don't think I was super into his character design. I wasn't sure what I was going to think about him, but he immediately became my favorite. And he also very quickly became a fan favorite with the Otome community. And, like, you can 100% see why. I love him. I love him so much.
Yes.
He is the only Li with a fully functioning brain. Like, even if he's not your favorite, you have to admit, he is the only one that has a fully functioning brain.
Yeah, I think he's very sweet. He's very, what's the word? He's very, like, about his own thing. Like, he has his own ideals, but, like, once he lets you in, he's very calm and very sweet.
He's very thoughtful. He's a very thoughtful person.
Yeah, I like Shu.
Oh, he's so hot too.
Yes, I agree with everything you just said. He's wonderful.
Yeah. So next is Helvetica Orsted. Helvetica, our favorite font.
The man who's named after a font. I don't understand why they gave him this name.
Helvetica Orsted.
Okay, Helvetica. Helvetica is a cosmetic surgeon. He's super self-centered, and he's really freaking good at his job.
Yes.
He really cares about how things look and how things appear.
He rates people.
The first time he meets Teuta, he gives her the once up and down, and he's like, you're a number, whatever, I can't remember what it was.
He gave her like a 62.
It was very low, and she's like, why? And he's like, there's more for you. And then throughout the game, like, as Helvetica gets to know Teuta, her number goes up, so I guess that's good.
It's not good. Don't rate people.
Anyways, he turns people's lives around by changing their looks, and often for the better, but we can't really talk about why. Helvetica I actually really like. He's not my favorite, but I like him a lot in terms of being able to connect with his background. Personally, I saw myself a lot in this character, and I can't talk about exactly why, but I kind of, like, appreciated his presence amongst the other allies in this game. Yeah. Like, there are a few scenes in the game where he does something nice for someone, and he's like, oh, I did this because it was convenient for me, or it was just an afterthought. It reminds me of things that I might say to my friends, because in reality, I just want to, like, care for people. And I think he's the same. He shows a different side of himself that is not particularly ideal.
He's really, really shallow.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, he is pretty shallow.
He's relatively shallow when it comes to specifically women. Like, and he's kind of a manho.
He's totally a manho.
Yeah.
Like, at some point in the game, he does, like, gravure modeling.
He does do that.
I don't know. I like Helvetica. He, like I said, he wasn't my favorite, but I thought he was pretty cool. We should talk about my actual favorite, though.
Yes, I do believe we should talk about your actual favorite. Who is your favorite, Vika?
My favorite is Mozu Nile Shepherd. Mozu is the head coroner of New Sieg. He is also far too young for his job.
Yeah, even more so than Limbo.
That's right. I don't know how he managed to get through med school and become the head coroner
Neither
of New
do
Sieg at his age.
How?
Honestly, I have no idea. Either way, Mozu is his character and personality. He's outwardly expressionless and overly analytical, but he's actually quite sweet.
He is. Like, when you first meet him, you're kind of like, what is this guy? Because he's constantly just, like, spouting off, like, super analytical medical terms.
That's right, and facts.
And
like,
facts.
He's very factual.
Yeah, and he also, like, kind of overshares about some stuff.
He does. He doesn't quite understand how human interaction works.
Yeah, that's true. He's very awkward.
Yes, but he is really, really good with animals and kids.
Yeah, he is. He's that type of awkward. Like, he doesn't know how to interact with other adult humans, but if you like give him a cat, cats love him.
Cats love him.
Cats love him.
Yes.
So Mozu's big thing is that his sister has been missing for a year. And like they just don't know what happened to her, and that's the reason why he kind of like joined the gang. So he works with everyone else, and he helps cover up their crimes.
Yay!
But he is trying to find his sister, and a good way to do that is to team up with a whole bunch of other criminals.
That's right.
Yay!
I love Mozu. He's so sweet.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Mozu is one of the characters that we can't really talk very much about without giving too many spoilers. So I think that's a good overview of who he is. Like, he's the head coroner. He seems emotionless, but he's actually very sweet and very analytical, and his sister is missing.
Yes. I also think he's hot.
Yeah, you do. I don't.
Anyway, let's talk about Scarecrow, who I don't think is hot.
Scarecrow, the super special and smart crime lord, but not really.
I mean, he is really smart.
He is really smart, but he's the Wawa boyfriend.
Yep, Scarecrow is your stereotypical wobble boyfriend. He does not know how to interact with women.
No, he freaks out when he meets Teuta because, like, he thinks that she's so cute and just can't believe she's gonna be living with them.
Yeah, he mumbles about how adorable and cute and hot she is under his breath. Everyone else is like, hey, you know you said that out loud, right? And he gets super embarrassed.
Yeah, so Scarecrow is a hacker.
That's right.
And he hacked his way into getting enough money to get himself a badass house where everyone else is currently squatting.
Yep, nobody pays rent.
So I guess that technically makes him their leader.
Well, that's what he wants you to think. Anyway.
Yeah, he calls himself their leader constantly. He needs lots of affirmations, and nobody gives them to him. Like, this poor guy, like, everyone lives in his house and just shits on him all day. There
is a jar in his house that is filled with money by each character after they have insulted him.
Yeah, it's the respect jar.
It's the respect jar.
And some of the characters, cough, Shu, cough, actually put in money so he can preemptively insult Scarecrow. Scarecrow is also known as Crow, or in Japanese they say Kuro, which confused me because at first I was like, his name is Black, but no, it's short for Scarecrow.
That's right. Kuro-chan.
Kuro-chan.
No, he actually is quite adorable. He annoyed the heck out of me in the very beginning because as we all know, I don't like Wabo boyfriends.
Yes.
I am not a Wabo boyfriend fan.
No, you are not.
But he did grow on me.
Yeah, I mean, he grew on me a little bit too, but honestly, I still think he was one of my least favorites just because I never went like, ooh, yeah, this guy's hot, or it was just like, oh, he's cute. But that was kind of it.
Yeah.
Like, he's cute, he's sweet, but he's not my type at all.
I will say he's a good fit for Teuta.
Yes. I also agree.
Because they are both young and naive and immature.
That is very true. They are on the same level emotionally, and that works out very, very well.
Yes, it does.
So those are our 5 allies.
That's right. Those are our 5 allies. There are a massive amount of important side characters in this game.
Yeah, and when we say important, we mean, like, most of them are important for every single route.
For every single route and generally the overall plot.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's really unique about this game, because normally when you go into an Otome game, there will be side characters, and some of them will be important to specific routes, and maybe there's like one or two antagonists for like the overall route, but in this game, everything is very, very intertwined, and it's really important that you pay attention to every single side character that pops up. So we're going to talk about not all of them. We're going to talk about a decent amount of them.
And we're just going to give like a general overview of who they are and kind of like what you learn about them in the very beginning and when you meet them. So the first one is her brother.
Yeah, the first one is Zora Bridges, Teuta's police officer brother, who is missing / dead.
You find this out at the very beginning of the game where she's looking at that newspaper and there's the entry about how they only found his finger.
Yeah.
And she's trying to find out the truth of what happened to her brother.
Yeah, and her brother's disappearance really led her to become an investigative journalist, because she wanted to get to the bottom of what happened, because they never figured it out. He's assumed dead.
Yeah.
The next character is Luca DeAndre, who we actually talked about in our last episode, Sidetracked by Side Characters. Luca is Teuta's best friend since childhood. They're family friends, and she is currently a detective in New Sea.
That's right. She's good at her job, and she probably also has a crush on Teuta.
Yes. Definitely saw that. Speaking of people who have crushes on Teuta.
The next character is Adam Krivlov.
Who, Russian, cannot do that. Thank you, linguist. Teuta's other best friend since childhood. He's a little bit older than her and Luca. He's a newscaster / pop star.
That was really interesting to me, because at some point Teuta is listening to a song and she's like, yeah, this is Adam's new song. And I was like, wasn't he just a newscaster? Wasn't he just telling us the news?
Well, one of the reasons why you figure out that he's important very quickly is because he's voiced by Ishikawa Kaito. Like, come on. All you have to do is look at the voice actors and be like, oh, look, it's the famous voice actors. They must be important.
That's right.
Like, you don't pay a whole lot of money for a famous voice actor to voice, like, an unimportant side character. So Adam is very busy.
Yes, he is very central to the plot.
Yeah.
And we won't say anything more about Adam.
Yeah, he's very obviously into Teuta.
That is. And, yes.
The only person who doesn't know is Teuta.
Anyways, now we can talk about Valerie. Actually, we shouldn't talk about Valerie that much because we've already talked about Valerie in Sidetracked by Side Characters.
Valerie Zoe Fitzgerald is Limbo's older sister, and we did talk about her in Sidetracked by Side Characters.
She is the ADA extraordinaire. She is a general badass, and she terrifies her younger brother, Limbo.
So, for those of you who are not in the United States, ADA stands for Assistant District Attorney, and they are like the number 2 person in the city that you're living in who prosecutes people, who prosecutes criminals.
Yes.
The district attorney is the main person. The ADA is like their second in command.
Yes. The district attorney in this game is Valerie's boss, Vonda Waldorf.
Yeah. He's New Sieg's district attorney. He's Valerie's boss, and we're not going to say anything else.
We're done with Vonda. Another character is Sauli Johansen Orsted. He is a very interesting character.
He is.
I will say. He's the professor at the University New Sieg Academia, and we also know he's very important because he's voiced by Tsukita Tomokazu.
Yes. Also, Sauli is Helvetica's guardian / adopted parent.
Yes,
so
that is why Helvetica has the same last name.
Yes, exactly. So you actually meet Sauli pretty early on in the game. One of the things that you do with Sauli is he has you take a personality test, and that is one of the things that helps you get into a specific person's route. So, that I thought that was actually really interesting because they've done, kind of a shorter version of that in other Ultimate games, you take a personality test and this is who you'd be a best match with. But in this, they sit down and they have you do a psychological personality inventory.
And it kind of matches with whatever character you're going to try and go after. So that was kind of cool, kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Really will say though, it was hard to follow the walkthroughs because there are so many questions to answer on that thing.
Yes. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, yes, no, no, yes, no, yes.
That's right.
I don't know who that gives you.
Yeah, actually, we should try and see what happens.
Oh, gosh.
Next character is Carmen Van Zandt.
So Carmen is the owner of Pariso Garage, which is the bar that everyone hangs out at. Carmen is wonderful.
Yes.
Carmen is a great character. We love Carmen so much. She is just hilarious, and she is full of life. She is full of love. She is full of love for life.
She is also super hot.
Yeah, she is.
We did not talk about her in Sidetracked by Side Characters because...
we knew we would talk about her a lot in these 2 episodes.
Yes. Carmen is awesome.
Yeah. So in addition to owning and running her own business, she is a foodie. She's a huge foodie who cannot cook.
No, she is terrible.
Yeah.
She is terrible at cooking. Do not let this woman in the kitchen.
But she's great. She's wonderful. She is voiced by Kakihara Tetsuya, which brings us to an interesting point. It's highly implied that Carmen is a trans woman, but this game really did it right.
Yeah, they did.
Because it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, she lives her life. She's a woman. She owns a bar. She does cool things.
She's friends with Teuta. She's best friends with Valerie. They go and they do stuff together. They have girls' time. They talk. She runs her own business.
Yeah. And did I say she's super hot?
She is.
Like, I don't know why. I have no words for how attractive Carmen is. Like, she's got these, like, jewels on her face and her lashes, and I'm thinking, gosh, it takes so much time to do this, but you're gorgeous. I wish I could be like her.
Vika is a huge fan of Carmen. I love Carmen, too, but I'm not, like, as gaga as you are.
She is boss. Like, she has gorgeous, colorful, wonderful hair. I'm sorry, I'm obsessed with Carmen.
Yeah. But for now, we're just gonna move on to Pepe Donovan.
Pepe!
Who is the bodyguard / bouncer / general super buff dude at Pariso Garage. He is a man of few words.
Yes. He talks about himself in third person, which I think is adorable.
Yeah.
Pepe does this.
Yeah, he's great. He's also very much in love with Carmen and is very, very supportive of her, even though Carmen does have a lover. Who her darling is off traveling for work, so we don't really find out too much about him until the very end of the story. Yes. But we do know that Carmen's in a relationship with someone.
There's one more character, and that is Alex Ratliff.
So Alex is the young orphan who helps out at Carmen's bar. Carmen is very attached to him. She feels very protective of him. He lives in the slums, and Carmen wants to adopt him with her darling once her darling comes back from traveling from work.
Yes.
So she very much takes care of Alex.
Yes. But also, Alex very much takes care of her.
Yeah,
Alex... because he knows more about owning a bar than she does.
Alex helps cook. Alex does a lot of the cooking, even though he is underage.
Also, he's able to take the orders because neither Pepe or Carmen can do that properly.
No, they don't remember, and you just end up with whatever.
Yeah, so these are the side characters from this game, and like Vicky said earlier, this game, Bust of Fellows, was really interesting in that you have to really pay attention to the side characters.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool story.
So what about our overall non-spoilery thoughts?
So my overall non-spoilery thought is that I think that this is like the best localization of a game. Like, it's so good. Every time I was running through like scenes or just like voiced parts, I would hear what they're saying in Japanese and I would see the translation and be like, wow, that is a really cool translation for what they did or for what they said. Like, one person says something like wakarimashita, or I understand, or I get it, and they translate it to capiche because the character is cool and chill, and he just like
he would say capiche.
Yeah, and I really like that. They did a good job.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think this is one of the best localizations of a game on console that I have ever seen.
Yeah.
I know that when we did our episodes on Ikemen Sengoku, we said it was the best localization of a mobile game that we've ever seen. And to be completely honest, the way that Bust of Fellows was localized really reminded me of the way that Ikemen Sengoku was localized, because they didn't just do the translation, they really made it make sense in terms of the character's personality, and they put a lot of the character's personality into the dialogue, and that's something that's really difficult to do when you're translating.
Yes. I think that this game really exemplifies the difference between translation and localization.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
I truly believe that they localized this game and they did it well, and they really put the personality in, and they tried to like have it make sense for what is happening in this game instead of just looking at the words and saying, okay, this is what this word means in English.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I know that you had some other thoughts that you thought were a little bit annoying when we were talking about the game and the dialogue. Something that we realized happens both in the Japanese version and the English version is there is not subtitles for all of the lines. There is not writing for all of the lines.
That's right. Especially in the transition scenes, there are, continuations of conversations that they just don't put subtitles for.
Yeah, and it's the same in the Japanese version. When one scene transitions to another, you get a fade out when people are still talking. And unless you can speak and understand Japanese, you are not going to get that dialogue.
Yeah.
And although they never put anything super important in there, it does, add
gives you some background.
Background and context. And it was annoying to not be able to fully understand that. And I know that that's something I've seen online that a lot of other people had complaints about as well. But just know they also did that in the original Japanese game.
Yeah. There were a few times where I would go back, I would look at the log, and the lines would actually be in the log, even though they weren't part of the game. So I thought that was kind of weird that they had the subtitle for that, but they didn't actually put it there because of the transition. So in some cases, you can go back and kind of see what's going on, but it messes with the flow of the game if you do that.
Yeah, definitely.
What's the last overall non-spoilery thought I have? Oh, this is my favorite. Helvetica has nipples.
They all have nipples.
Okay, but Helveticas are the most important.
I mean, sure.
Yes.
That's what you want.
That's what I think.
So what about what route orders did we go in?
Okay, well, you played first, so what was your route order?
So I did Limbo, Shu, Helvetica, Mozu, then Scarecrow. What about you?
Okay. I did Limbo, Shu, Helvetica, Mozu, and then Scarecrow.
We actually did the same route order. This does not normally happen.
So when we talk about the game in the very beginning, I usually do whatever I feel is going to make the most sense for me. And I didn't realize that when Vicky played through, she did it in the exact same order that I wanted to do it in.
I mean, I typically do the quote-unquote recommended order, but sometimes the recommended order is like, do this one first, do this one last, and then anyone in the middle is fine.
Yeah, so in this case, what do they say?
Start with Limbo, end with Scarecrow is what's recommended.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that. Like, I started with Limbo, set it up, didn't give me a lot of information. I think ending with Scarecrow was the best choice.
I agree. Ending with Scarecrow gives you a lot of information about, like, kind of the final two routes that are not there. Like, there's no secret character in this game, but they do two wrap-up routes. One which gives like information about the overall underlying plot that's happened, and one that gives Teuta personal closure.
Yeah. No, I think it's really good the way they set it up, and the route order does make a difference. I mean, I just did Mozu right before Scarecrow because I knew Mozu was going to be my favorite.
Yeah, you knew pretty early on that you were going to like Mozu.
Yeah. So there you go. We did the same route order, and we recommend the same.
Yeah.
Start with Limbo, end with Scarecrow, and then figure it out in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing that I really like about this game is that they have, like, route indicators. There are parts or specific scenes in this game that kind of, like, tell you that you're going in the right route or going in the right Eli's, like, story.
So you know that you're in the right route when you get 3 specific scenes in the common route that fit with the particular Li that you're going for. So the first scene is when they name the cat.
We promise this makes sense. I promise. Like, naming the cat makes sense.
Yeah, basically they end up adopting a cat. And
or rather, the cat adopts them.
Yeah, the cat adopts them. And each Li suggests a name for the cat early on, and then there's a scene where they end up choosing the name for the cat, and basically they each call the name that they chose, and the cat responds to one of them. And that's how you know that you're going in the right direction.
That's right. The second scene that you kind of like get an indicator of what route you're in is when Teuta actually takes a ridiculously long time to open a letter.
Oh my god, she gets this really important letter and sits on it for like 3 days, and it annoyed the hell out of me because who sits on an important letter for 3 days?
Just open the letter.
Yeah.
Whoever sits on the couch with her is like the one to encourage her to finally open the letter because she's like, I need moral support. And they're like, okay, fine, let's open the damn letter.
She needs moral support to open a letter.
Anyways, so that's how you know that you're in the right route. If she's sitting next to Limbo, you're in Limbo's route.
Yeah.
The last one is a very fan servicey scene at the pool with Carmen and Valerie.
Yeah. Carmen and Valerie end up buying a swimsuit for Teuta, and it turns out that one of the LIs helped choose the swimsuit. So whichever swimsuit Teuta ends up wearing corresponds to the route that you're in, and you get a cute little scene of how they ended up choosing the style, and it's very cute and blushy, and you also get Carmen and Valerie in a swimsuit.
Yes, extra bonus win. They're so hot.
Yeah, you get most people in a swimsuit. Although with Helvetica, it doesn't matter because he's half naked most of the time.
Pretty much exists in his robe.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's kind of like where we'll wrap up. But before we finalize this episode...
Guys, we cannot do an episode 1 of Reviews and Twos without doing
Bone-Marry-YEET Off a Cliff. So we're going to pull our names out of a hat, or rather an Ikemen Sengoku mug with Yukimura's face on it.
Hello, Sanada Yukimura.
And I'm going to shuffle up the little papers in my mug.
Shake. Shake Yukimura. Shake Yukimura.
Okay, Vicky. Pick the first character.
Okay, the first character is... Scarecrow. Okay. The second character... Tada's like trying to eat me.
That's right. Tada's very interested in what's happening with this mug.
Is Shu Lyn O'Keefe.
Okay. Scarecrow and Shu. Who's the last one?
Helvetica Orsted.
Okay, well, I don't really know how to do this one.
Helvetica, Shu, and Scarecrow.
Let's see what everyone else thinks. I'm really curious what other people will say.
But we have to do ours.
We will. I'm just telling people that they'll have to choose who they're going to bone, who they're going to marry, or who they want to yeet off a cliff.
Yeah, we'll put this on Twitter when this episode comes out.
That's right. I want to see your responses in Twitter. Want to see your responses in the comment. This is actually very hard for me because there are no characters that I hate in this game. I really like them all. And I have a feeling I know exactly who you want to marry.
Okay, that's the easy part, though.
That's the easy part, yeah. But who do we eat off a cliff?
Okay, so I will marry Shu.
Yes.
Obviously, I will marry Shu. The problem is, so Scarecrow is obviously a virgin.
Yes, he is.
And I don't feel like I have the patience to teach someone anymore.
Yes, okay.
Like,
But he
could
be very eager.
But also, like, Helvetica, I feel like if I didn't immediately yeet him off a cliff afterwards, he'd never shut up about how we slept together.
He would cause you more problems than it was worth.
Yeah, exactly. But I also feel like if I took Scarecrow's virginity, he'd follow me around for the rest of my life, which would be a problem because I'd be married to Shu.
Okay, well, what was your choice?
Oh, God.
This is easier for me.
Okay, so I think I'm just gonna have to go with the character who I like more in general for the boning.
Yeah.
Because I do like Scarecrow. I think he's cute. So I guess I'd have to bone him. Like I'm not super into it, but I'd be more worried about the aftermath with Helvetica, and I don't want to yeet Scarecrow off a cliff. So I'm gonna have to marry Shu, bone Scarecrow, and yeet Helvetica off a cliff. And I mean, if I were not worried about the aftermath of everything, then I'd probably bone Helvetica. But also, I don't want to yeet Scarecrow. I think that's the thing. I don't want to yeet Scarecrow, even though I don't really want to sleep with him. I really don't want to yeet him.
Okay, I definitely want to yeet Scarecrow off a cliff.
What about the other two?
I I would totally bone Helvetica many times, over and over again. Like, I would love to have a relationship where I could just bone him and not be in a relationship with him.
So you'd marry Shu.
I'd totally marry Shu. Shu is the one I'm taking home to my parents.
Yes, Shu is the one who you can take home to your parents.
That's right. He's the one with the job that is the most controversial because he's a assassin bounty hunter.
But he would, like, know how to interact with your parents without acting like a dumbass.
Yes, exactly.
No one else would know how to do that.
Yes.
Like, even though Mozu is nice, he'd be very off-putting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if Mozu was on this list, I'd marry Mozu, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
And you know that with all of them, you're going to have enough money to live your life. Mm-hmm. Like, one's a surgeon, the other one's a hacker, and the other one, he's a bounty hunter, and people pay a lot of money for that. Yeah. So, I'm not really worried about money in life. But yeah, I would definitely bone Helvetica. Like, he would be my side piece for damn sure. He would be my casual secondary. Primary Shu, I'd marry that man, take him home. You know what? Like, joint bank accounts and everything.
You'd wife him up.
I'd wife him up. And then I'm really sorry. Like, I like Scarecrow as a character. I think he's sweet. I think he's adorable. I don't really want to yeet him off a cliff, but, like, I don't want a relation. Like, personally, I would not match with Scarecrow. He is not my type. He and I do not. He's a Wawa boyfriend. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm not about that.
Okay. Anyways, that was tough. I think that was the toughest one we've had.
Yeah, that was a little tough. I thought it was easy for me, but after I started speaking it through, I kind of really felt bad for Scarecrow.
Because he's sweet. He's sweet. That's the thing.
We have to protect him. He's adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that was tough. Let us know what you think. Who would you bone, marry, or yeet off a cliff of these characters?
So this tweet will go up at 1 p.m. PST, the day that this episode comes out. Please check out our Twitter. Let us know, who would you bone, who would you marry, who would you yeet off a cliff? Shu, Helvetica, Scarecrow.
That's right. If you like what you hear and would like to support us, we have a Ko-fi account where you can donate to us, keeping the podcast going.
Yes.
Ko-fi.
That's a different thing that we said in our last episode. Please check out, the link in the socials. We have a Ko-fi account.
That's right.
That accepts PayPal.
Yeah, we still have Buy Me a Coffee if you'd love to donate to us there. We still have that available. So it's just a matter of making it easy for people to help us out.
Yes, and we appreciate it. We appreciate
totally do.
Anything that you guys give us, including feedback. It does not have to be monetary. We love it when you guys comment on our Twitter.
Yes, we love interacting with everyone.
We love getting fan emails.
Yes, oh my goodness.
We had a little cry fest the other day because we got a really, really, really nice fan email. So thank you so much for that. You know who you are.
We also have a Twitter and Instagram where you can stay updated on what we're up to and other cool Otome related stuff.
Also, if you did not already know, we have a Twitch account where we have actually started streaming Otome games as well. Right now we are streaming Tuesdays and Thursdays in the evening. We have our Twitch stream schedule pinned to the top of our Twitter profile. It's also on the Ko-fi account, and it's also on our Twitch page. So if you are interested in interacting with us real time and seeing some of the games that we're playing, please come and join us. We would love to hang out with you.
Yes, we would. We started talking about this ages ago.
Yes.
And I'm so glad we finally started to do it because I love hanging out with you guys.
It's so much fun. It is.
So come join us if you can. Thanks for listening, and see you next time. Bye.